beyond the restrictions of spinal sign reflex for human intelligence. Although the spinal sign reflex in vertebrates is a defense, reproductive, and foraging mechanism, it is probable that human beings use this mechanism for linguistic processing and intelligence building. Therefore, human intelligence is limited by spinal reflexes. There are several restrictions, but I will point out 3 of them. It is involuntary and memory-based recognition system. Therefore, it tends to overlook a new word and cannot react to it. Building a new receptor takes time, a few days, and cannot be voluntarily done. Perhaps this is why interdisciplinary research hasn't progressed. Sign reflex is reflex mechanism without verifying the authenticity of incoming signs. Since it is reflex system, it gives priority to the response and doesn't check the authenticity of incoming signs. There are many mistakes and errors in school and textbooks. They are sent into students' brain without being corrected and become their base of intelligence. It is stubborn and inflexible system. It is a stubborn system for most animals. It is constructed by genetic information in DNA. Mammals with high learning ability can build new reflex circuits. But there is no mechanism for the modification or reconfiguration of circuits once constructed. Mechanism of meaning of ARAKAWA. Visualized neural logic in our brain. Logic of dichotomy. To determine A or not A. To be actualized by antigen and antibodies, which function as key and keyhole pairs. Versatile logic of dualism. To integrate 2 parameters A and B, then actualize C. Or simple connection of if A, then B. Using the logic of dichotomy and dualism, daily spontaneous concept is formulated through ad hoc networking among relevant sensory memories. Grammatical modulation is the dualistic integration of a word and a sound vector. We have to build our intelligence using vertebrate neural logic. To overcome limitations of sign reflex, ARAKAWA prepared directions for use. By following directions for use, human body interacting with surround becomes a textural body. To react new words and phenomena, we need to restore the child's pure intellectual curiosity. Non-flat floor and colorful surround of Reversible Destiny stimulates our body to restore intellectual curiosity. Now, I will show you 3 examples from my experiment. The case 1 was made in Mitaka. I wanted to know what happened at the moment language was born. In August 2007, I lived in the Reversible Destiny loft in Mitaka as a Stone Age cave. I did not turn on the lights at night. I did not use air conditioner. I slept directly on a rough floor without using a mattress. And I followed the directions for use. 5 o'clock. I'm awake. Today I slept with stomach down. The toes of both feet began to interact with the floor. At the beginning, slowly, as if they check each bump, and then the rhythm came out gradually. It was like playing a gamelan with two sticks. After a while, my hands began to move. At the beginning, they were touching the floor nearby slowly, then gradually with rhythms. Still lying on my stomach, my hands clapped on my head, base of neck, forehead. I crossed the leg, put the side on the floor, and tapped the opposite side. I turned my body and placed the other side on the floor. I lay on my back and beat my chest and stomach to concert with the beating of the heart. At 16:30, I entered into the spherical study. I lay my body on a sphere and rotated it around like a compass needle. Something did not happen, but I repeated it a few times. In a stopped position, I patted my feet on the spherical floor. With both hands, I tapped the floor, then my belly, my chest, my feet, and my head. The sound in this room is very good. If a person with a sense of music, it will become music just by hitting his body and floor. At 21:10, when I looked into the spherical study at its entrance, tongue striking started. It became rhythmical music. My body began to jump as my hands held my body against the wall of the entrance. An epiphany was born about quick then syllables, two-step evolution of speech signals. Before walking around the site of Yoro, I read its directions for use. It seemed like nonsense, but I thought I'd follow them as far as I could. I entered the house several times through different entrance ways. As the house is not so big, I used the same entrance twice and 3 times, and gradually a map of the house was generated in my brain. It was interesting that what was unknown at first became known a second and a third time. Following moves through the house as though you were presently living in it. I touched the furniture and instruments to confirm that they are not for use. Then, new residents came to the house. They reflexively said what they saw. "There's a toilet! A telephone!" At that time, I unexpectedly heard a voice in my brain. "No, you can't pee, so it's not a toilet. It's an object shaped like a toilet bowl." "No, it's just a telephone shape. The receiver won't come off and it won't go anywhere. My body had sensed that they were not for use and reacted against the words, reflecting only its appearance. Is this a gap between imagined landing site and perceptual landing site? Is it to be created through walking in the house as a resident or its twin? Case 3. Behave like crazy to enter a new phase of perception. Common sense is our biggest disease. It binds us, though full of errors. Our knowledge of the world and nature is based on common sense. Our way of thinking, behavior pattern, are heavily influenced by common sense. We cannot easily get away from common sense. In a crisis ethicist directions for youth, number 1 says, play off of your tactically posed surround like crazy until you have constructed a precise tentativeness for yourself. Being crazy may be the best way to break common sense. But how can we become crazy? I experienced it in the Bioscribe house in April 2012. When I first visited the Bioscribe house, the floor was so dirty that I started cleaning it right away. It was around 6 p.m. I had been cleaning the rooms for more than 4 hours, and I was sweeping the bumpy floor in the middle. I noticed a letter-sized shimmering light on the black wall of the other side. Its radiance was very strong, but it was not clear what it was. I interrupted the cleaning and went close to the black wall. It was a reflection of sunlight. When I looked in the direction of the light, I saw the sun in one of the windows on the wall of the next room. Pictures taken without the flash are black except for the sunlight. Looking around, I could see the rays of the sun and its shadow on the other windows and walls. I had been in the house for 5 hours before, but I didn't notice that the light from the window reflected on the wall. Is this what you mean by not noticing? I decided to stop cleaning and observe what the light was doing in other rooms. There was no lighting yet, so all the light came from sunlight. The whole house was filled with incoming light, reflected light from walls and ceilings, and further reflection of light. The light was supposed to go straight, but because the panels and walls were curved, the light was also curved. It was not easy to tell which light came from where. It was as if it were an aurora. Then I wandered around the house and immersed myself in a festival of light. I was literally crazy. ARAKAWA gave me a sensibility for light and shadows as a gift. The next morning, As I was walking through Manhattan, I felt like I had met someone I know. And when I approached it, it was a palm-shaped pedestrian signal. I was surprised at this. Was it because I touched lighting switches at the bioscript house? There, lighting was made by rubbing the center of a palm-shaped switch vertically and horizontally to change the brightness and select a lighting fixture. On my return flight, I found the night lights and belt warning signs so attractive. Conclusion: if we follow the directions for use in the Reversible Destiny sites, we can overcome various limitations of Spinal Sign Reflex for intelligence use. We have not yet fully exploited the potential of our language to enhance human intelligence. To do so, I would like to encourage young people to go to the Reversible Destiny sites and behave like crazy. Postscript: complex scientific concepts. We have not yet established how to acquire and use complex scientific concepts correctly. I think tubes and following work are dedicated for complex concepts. I recommend you to read aloud the text in the diagram.
2 or 3 points of departure, where each blank eddies the texture of receivability. By vectors may saturate pieces of layered approximations received, the surfacing of a parallel drift, generating a sense of out and in. Angular spin, the depth maker of a surface. Distance of time play whole, tunneling volumes of degrees as if broken tubes, within but between the numbers being counted. The setting of a broken rail, the enormous movability of a sucking passage, omnidirectional, random partial shrinking, appearance of some profile junctures, some linear perhaps many, volumes exchanged, a speed of shifting, place for construction of a core of flexibility only, diffuse receding which parallels and contours, waiting texture. The unique range of elasticities of impressionable stretching, not yet texture. The regulating of reflection, deflection, inflection. Coalescence of sound joints, guides. Realization of mounting and push of duration, instant group. Both senders and receivers, configurational coverings on all and any scale. Pull of breath to keep the end in sight, balance. As always, the necessity of all out of the blue to and from, the onset of a sudden drop into a scale of action, the call of continuity, the call of continuity.